There is a specific vibration in the chest when the silence is finally broken. You know the feeling. It is the sudden spike of electricity when the phone lights up. It is the rush of blood to the head when they finally turn toward you after weeks or months of turning away. For a moment, the world aligns. The anxiety that has been humming in the background like a broken refrigerator suddenly stops. You feel high. You feel chosen. You feel alive. But then, the moment passes. The text is read. The date ends. The distance returns. And the crash that follows is not just sadness. It is a physical withdrawal. It is a hollowness that aches in the marrow of your bones. We call this passion. We call this the connection. We romanticize this oscillation between the ecstatic highs and the crushing lows, believing that the intensity of the pain is proof of the depth of the love. We tell ourselves, if it didn't hurt this much, it wouldn't matter this much. But I want to ask you a question, and I ask you to answer it with your nervous system, not your mind. Are you in love with the person? Or are you addicted to the relief they provide from the anxiety they helped create? If you are listening to this, you are likely exhausted. You are tired of the strategy. You are tired of reading the energy, analyzing the silence, and waiting for the breadcrumbs of affection to feed a starving heart. You are an intelligent, spiritually seasoned soul, yet here you are, trapped in a loop that feels less like a divine union and more like a chemical dependency. Let us stop pretending this is purely spiritual. Let us look at what is happening in the biology of your vessel and the geometry of your soul. It is time to dismantle the addiction to the drama. It is time to learn why peace feels so much like boredom to a heart that has only known survival. To understand why we stay in the cycle of the highs and lows, we must look at the architecture of the anxious heart. Many of you identify as the holder of space or the one who sees the potential. You look at your counterpart, the unawakened counterpart, the one who pulls away, and you see their soul. You see what could be. But in the physical realm, you are experiencing what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. This is the most powerful addiction mechanism known to the human psyche. If you put a rat in a cage and give it a lever that dispenses food every single time it is pressed, the rat presses it only when hungry. But if you rig the lever so that it only dispenses food sometimes, randomly, unpredictably, the rat will press that lever until it collapses from exhaustion. The uncertainty creates the obsession. When your counterpart pulls away, your body enters a state of threat. The cortisol spikes. The fight or flight mechanism engages. You are not just missing them. Your biology is screaming that you are being abandoned. This is a primal, ancient fear. Then, when they return, even with just a crumb of attention, your brain releases a massive flood of dopamine. It is not just relief, it is euphoria. It is the hit. Over time, you begin to confuse this relief from pain with love. You begin to associate high cortisol states, anxiety, with passion, and high dopamine states, relief, with connection. So what happens when the relationship becomes stable? What happens when there is no running, no chasing, no mystery? To a nervous system rewired for chaos, peace feels suspicious. Peace feels flat. Without the adrenaline of the chase, you might feel bored. You might think, the spark is gone. But the spark was never love. The spark was anxiety. The spark was the friction of two unhealed wounds rubbing against each other. We must speak of the mirroring effect here. We often hear in spiritual circles that this connection is a mirror. But we usually interpret that as, they are mirroring my love, or they are mirroring my rejection. go deeper. The avoidant soul in their retreat is mirroring your own lack of safety within yourself. They run from intimacy because it feels like engulfment. You run toward intimacy because solitude feels like death. You are both running. You are both terrified of the center. You are addicted to the highs because the lows force you to sit with yourself. And for many of us, sitting alone in the silence, without the distraction of the romantic drama, is terrifying. The drama is a noise that drowns out the quiet whispers of our own unhealed trauma. As long as you are obsessing over them, you do not have to look at you. As long as you are trying to solve the puzzle of their behavior, you do not have to feel the emptiness in your own chest. The addiction to the struggle is a defense mechanism. It keeps you busy. It keeps you externalized. It keeps you waiting for a savior to bring the serotonin rather than manufacturing it within your own temple. So, how do we shift? How do we move from this adrenaline-fueled, chaotic entanglement to a grounded, serotonin-based love? We must change our definition of what real feels like. Imagine the ocean, the relationship you have been chasing, the one with the dramatic highs and lows, is the storm on the surface. It is the crashing waves, the howling wind, the lightning. It is exciting. It is terrifying. It makes you feel small and alive. But the storm is not the ocean. The storm is what happens when the atmosphere is unbalanced. True love, sustainable, divine love, is the deep. It is the water 3 miles down. It is heavy. It is silent. It is dark. It creates a pressure that holds you together. It is not moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It is vast, and it is still. For the anxious heart, the deep feels boring at first. There is no wind to fight against. There is no lightning to light up the sky. There is just presence. We have to move from a hunter consciousness to a gardener consciousness. The hunter loves the adrenaline of the pursuit. The hunter needs the target to move. If the target stands still, the game is over. The gardener, however, knows that growth is slow. The gardener knows that real sustenance comes from the soil, from patience, from the sun and the rain. You cannot scream at a seed to make it grow faster. You cannot chase a flower into blooming. You are being invited to put down the spear and pick up the watering can. This shift requires a death. It requires the death of the part of you that needs to earn love. The highs and lows are based on a transactional model. If I suffer enough during the low, I earn the high. If I wait long enough, I get the reward. Real love is not a reward for suffering. It is a natural resonance. You must realize that the boring days, the days where you simply drink coffee, where you do not text for 6 hours and you do not panic, where you sit in the same room and read different books, these are not the absence of love. These are the presence of safety. Safety is quiet. Safety does not scream. If you are waiting for the fireworks, you will miss the sunrise. Fireworks are artificial explosives that burn out in seconds and leave smoke in your eyes. The sunrise is a slow, inevitable event that illuminates the entire world. You are looking for the explosion. Your soul is asking for the light. How do we integrate this? How do we stop the addiction to the hit and settle into the serotonin of peace? I offer you 3 internal shifts. These are not things you do to the other person. They are things you do to the wiring of your own vessel. Shift number 1, the detox of the void. You must consciously practice sitting with the withdrawal symptoms. When the unawakened counterpart pulls away, or when the dynamic becomes quiet, Your impulse will be to poke the connection, to send a meme, to check their social media, to check the tarot, to create movement. Stop. Freeze that impulse. Recognize it not as love, but as an itch. Say to yourself, I am experiencing a chemical withdrawal from external validation. Then, turn toward the physical sensation in your body. Is your chest tight? Is your stomach churning? Do not try to fix it. Do not try to soothe it by reaching out. Just sit with it. Breathe into the discomfort. By not acting on the impulse, you are breaking the neural pathway that says anxiety requires external action. You are teaching your body that you can survive the silence. You are building tolerance for the void. Shift number 2, redefining resonance. Pay attention to your body when you meet new people or when you interact with your counterpart. If you feel that spark, that dizziness, that intense magnetic pull that makes you lose your center, mark it as a red flag. That is your trauma recognizing a familiar pattern of chaos. That is your nervous system bracing for impact. Start looking for the warmth. Warmth is different from fire. Fire consumes, warmth nourishes. Warmth feels like a slow exhale. It feels like your shoulders dropping. It feels like clarity, not confusion. When you interact with them, ask yourself, do I feel calm or do I feel activated? If you feel activated, you are in the adrenaline loop. Step back. Regulate. Do not engage from that place. Only engage when you are in the frequency of warmth. Shift number 3, become the anchor, not the boat. In the chaotic dynamic, you are often the boat, tossed around by the waves of the other person's moods and decisions. You are waiting for the ocean to calm down so you can be safe. You must become the anchor. An anchor does not care if the surface is stormy or calm. It is bedded deep in the earth. This means you build a life that is so rich, so full of serotonin-producing activities, that the romantic connection is merely the cherry on top, not the cake itself. What brings you serotonin? Not the cheap dopamine of scrolling or sugar. I mean deep serotonin. Walking in nature, creating art, deep meditation, service to others, physical movement. Fill your cup with these things until it overflows. When you are full of your own serotonin, you no longer desperately need the hit of their dopamine. You become magnetic, not because you are pulling, but because you are heavy with your own worth. The avoidant soul is terrified of neediness, but they are drawn to gravity. Be the gravity. The transition from a karmic, adrenaline-based entanglement to a dharmic, serotonin-based union is not easy. It feels like a death because the ego is dying. The ego loves the story of the tragic lovers. The ego loves the drama of the separation. But the spirit wants peace. You have been climbing a mountain, carrying a heavy backpack of expectations, analyzing every step, breathless and panicked. You think the summit is a place of ecstatic explosion, but the summit is just a quiet plateau with a beautiful view. The air is thin and clear. It is silent up there. Do not be afraid of the boredom. The boredom is the space where the real magic happens. It is in the quiet moments that two souls can actually merge. You cannot merge when you are colliding. You can only merge when you are flowing side by side. Let the relationship become mundane. Let it become human. Let the pedestal crumble so that the person can stand on the ground and meet you eye to eye. You do not need another hit. You need to heal. You do not need more drama. You need rest. And the greatest romance you will ever experience is not the one that leaves you breathless. It is the one that finally allows you to breathe. Until next time.